I am thinking of a number. If I take my number and add 4 to it, I get 12. What number am I thinking of? That one might be a little easy. Let's try a second one. I have a second number. If I take this number and divide it by 3, I get 4. What number am I thinking of this time? That one was a little bit more difficult. Now, if you answered the first 2 slides or either one of them correctly, you have successfully solved an equation. They didn't look like equations. They looked just like a bunch of words, but that's actually what they were. So what do you think of when you hear the word equations? Most people think of algebra, they think of variables, they think of something that we need to solve to get some sort of answer. According to Google, an equation is a statement that the values of 2 mathematical expressions are equal, and we show that with an equal sign. And that's what we had in our first 2 examples right there. Let's go back and take a quick look at these 2 examples, and I'll show you what I mean. Here's my first one. I'm thinking of a number. We don't know what that number is. That's our unknown. We call that our variable. And in this case, I'm just going to make a very simple variable here. I'm going to use the variable x. We have a number like x. And I'm going to take this number and I'm going to add 4 to it. X plus 4. And I get 12. And this is what makes an equation different than an expression. An equation has an answer. It has an equal sign, and it tells us that if we add these 2 numbers together, we get 12. Now this makes the problem a whole lot easier, and I can actually figure out what number I'm thinking of. And you could do a lot of different ways to solve this, and if you've never done equations before, the easiest way is to probably do a guess and check. Try a number. Does it work? 5 plus 4, no, that's 9. 12 plus 4, no, that's 16. But if I guess correctly, I can figure out that this number has to be an 8. 8 plus 4 equals 12. So therefore, we've solved this equation, and we can tell me that x is equal to 8. And the way that an equation works is we're actually going to not really tell me what it's equal to. We know that if we add these together, it's equal to 12. We're going to actually define what the variable is. What is that number I am thinking of? What does that number have to be to make this equation true? And we see this in my second example as well. This one was a little bit tougher, but it's still the same type of thing. I have a second number. For the sake of not using x again, I'm going to use n this time. I have a second number, and if I take this number and divide it by 3, n divided by 3, I get 4. Now, a couple ways I can write this. I can write this, of course, with a division sign. You also might say this with a little fraction line, which means division. But it's the same problem. I'm trying to find a number that if I divide by 3, I get to 4. And we could try a bunch of numbers, and only one answer, only one number exists where I can divide by 3 and get to 4. And that is when n is equal to 12. And we can prove that by actually trying this and saying, well, what is 12 divided by 3? Oh, yeah, it's 4. This is what makes this true. And this is a way of checking my answer and saying, look, this has to be the value of my variable to make my equation true. Now, this is supposed to be just a quick introduction to equations. You know, you've probably done some simple equations in the past. But I just want to do one quick, easy way of just explaining how to solve equations. With any equation, the easiest way to solve is to solve it by doing the opposite operation, which seems weird because when we see a plus sign, an addition problem, we think to add. We don't think, oh, I better subtract. Really weird. But by doing this, we get rid of the guessing and checking, and we have a way of getting to our exact answer right away. Looking back at our problems before, we had this one, x plus 4 equals 12. Well, very simply, by doing the opposite of what I saw there, I can actually get this answer very quickly. I can take my answer, which was 12 in my equation, equals 12. And by doing the opposite of subtracting 4, we get to 8 very simply. Now, if you remember my second one, we said n is equal to 12. Now, how did I get n is equal to 12 without guessing? Is that we did the opposite. This was a division problem. The opposite of division, of course, is to multiply. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So just a quick way to solve these problems. It's actually going to be very helpful once we solve multi-step problems, problems that require 3, sometimes even 4, 5 steps to solve. Doing the opposite operation is going to make them very quick, very easy, and should not give us any problems. We will start this in the upcoming weeks. If you have any questions, of course, you can ask, but this is all we are going to do today. Quick intro into equations.